Well, good evening and welcome to this Big 12 offensive line show. We got a great one planned for you tonight. My name's Jim, joined with JT and Parker Blake. Parker, it's been about a year. It's good to see you. How are you?
Oh, it's a pleasure to be back, brother. I'm great. I'm watching football. I'm talking football. It's always a happy place to be for me.
Yeah. And JT, you're doing two podcasts a week. love love the effort that you're putting in. I want to give Parker and JT props because they each had to watch approximately 9 teams times 5 offensive linemen. And we're making the list. So Parker's going to talk about this here in a minute. But within the Big 12, we knew of some offensive linemen. I'm sure you're going to hear about them in a few minutes. But there's also a lot of offensive linemen that we still need to find. And Parker, you and I were talking about this a little bit backstage. You want to mention a little bit of the process and the enthusiasm by which you attack a subject like this?
Enthusiasm unknown to mankind, as some might say. No, I love the kind of approaching it blind. I approach every draft cycle blind as blind as I can. If I can hear about zero prospects before I watch 50 to 100 prospects, then I'm feeling pretty good about starting my process off the right way. So, taking this approach where we're kind of attacking the conference, and we split the teams, I believe, or at least tried to split the teams, and there's no longer 12 teams in the Big 12, so got to watch a few more than 6 to get halfway. But go attacking it and just taking like the projected starting five going into the spring and watching those guys and kind of going from there, seeing who pops. I found a couple guys that were rotational guys the year prior that I just happened to watch because I enjoyed watching them when they flashed for me. So I got into the weeds on a couple teams. I popped over to a couple different teams that I wasn't assigned just because I was curious to watch a couple guys. I like kind of like combing my way through the Big 12 offensive line scene and just kind of starting with certain positions. There was a day that I kind of just did a bunch of tackles just to compare all my tackles on the teams I was assigned. There was a day that I kind of just was watching random games from teams I wasn't assigned to see what O lineman popped and if the quality was any different. I was like comparing and contrasting, and then I realized I was doing all this for a show that I'm going to do all that anyway. So I'm excited to hear what JT says. I'm excited to talk about a couple of guys, a couple teams I'm excited for, and yeah, it's going to be a good time. I'm pumped.
And while the team split is in the chat somewhere, I am not looking at the chat. But JT, I'm going to kick this to you. Who is the top offensive line prospect out of all the teams that you were looking at?
So my half of the Big 12 was Cincinnati, Baylor, Houston, Iowa State, Kansas State, TCU, and West Virginia. So of that group of 9 or so teams, the best one I watched was Cincinnati guard Evan Tangistal.
Thanks, doll.
Not
Yeah,
sure if I'm Tangistal. Did I say that right?
close enough. Yeah, sir.
I'll take it. If I'm in the ballpark, I can count it as a win. But yeah, I really liked him. I thought he played with a lot of violence, a lot of aggression. He played with a good amount of power. He's listed as 6'3", 323, so he has the frame, he has the build to play at the NFL level. And I just really loved his demeanor in the running game. He wants to put people on the ground, and then he'll stand over them and put them in the ground again. And I always love that attitude when you're talking, mauling offensive guards. That's just good throwback football. You love to watch it. And, he's more than that. You think that, oh, yeah, he's a big lumbering goon. And he is without the lumbering. I thought he actually moved pretty well laterally side to side. I thought his pass protection was pretty good. His hands had some pop in them. So overall, I came away pretty impressed with Tengistal. I think he has potential to be a top 100 pick this coming year. So he'll be one I'm watching this season.
And Tangistal you have as a guard, right, JT?
Yeah, I think it was listed as their left guard.
Yep. And I live not that far from Cincinnati, and I know that Parker is a Bengals fan, and I'm assuming you have some UC knowledge as well, Parker.
I actually watched Evan last summer. I have 2 years of film on Evan now because I watched him last summer and then last season because I was a fan of just what he does. And I've had the opportunity to chat with him on and off just in DMs throughout the last year and now. So I'm a big fan of him. After all the Big 12 guys I've watched so far, he's the 4th highest rated Big 12 offensive lineman on my board right now. So coming into this year, so I'm a big fan of Evan. I think you hit it on the head. The demeanor that's so big for me, my process. Because you can't teach demeanor as much as people think you can. You can't. So if you have that already, and he's shown that for 2 years now that I've seen. So he's a dog. I love Evan. I don't think he's going to go too early. I think when the cycle comes around, I think he's going to be limited as a tester, and people don't love that, and that's going to drop him a lot. But I think he's going to be a really good player for a long time for somebody.
But, we might have said the exact same thing about Kalen Rutledge this time last year. He's kind of a mean dude. He probably is a top 100 pick, and probably limited, and, he's just going to be a good, solid guy. And then fast forward, he's in the first round. So
every year there's like a mean offensive lineman that ends up jumping into the first just because he's mean. And I always try to hit that guy because that's like my favorite trait in offensive lineman. And I can never pick him, but I try every year. I have a bet with my buddy every year. We try and pick him.
Well, Parker, you said you have 3 Big 12 offensive linemen ranked higher than Evan Tengestal from Cincinnati. Yes, so you want to share with the good people who one of those top-rated players are?
I'm going to go with the guy that I have graded 0.02 points above Evan for my raw grade going into the year, and that is Bruce Mitchell out of BYU. Very different player, so it's kind of funny that I have him literally right above him. And I personally, if it's me, and I know it's my grading system, but I talk about that all the time. But if it's me, I think I like Evan better than Bruce personally, just because, again, the demeanor, the violence. But Bruce is like he's what BYU likes. He's the wide zone, great, understands leverage really well, is athletic out of his stance, can climb and track at the second level. Like, just a great, and he's a center for BYU. But just great at those cutoff blocks, great at moving in space. But you're never going to see him like bulldoze somebody. He plays with a little nastiness in his game, but like he's not a great finisher. So you'll get a little pushing and shoving out of him. You'll get a little intensity out of the feet, but you're not going to get anything like noteworthy, I think, after the play, which is good. I mean, we don't want anything crazy, but I wish he finished better. I wish he looked a little more strong as a run blocker, but I think Brucey as a wide zone center is just an awesome ad, like on like probably late day 2, in my opinion.
And that was Bruce Mitchell, the center from BYU?
Yes, sir. And he's been a starter there for, I think he's going to end up being a 3-year starter or something like that. So worth noting.
Okay. Well, Parker, you are the first person to mention Bruce Mitchell on a podcast. And
I love Bruce. He's a cute guy, man.
And that was one of your higher rated offensive linemen. So buckle up, everybody. I think we got some more new names coming your way. JT, back to you. Who's your next Big 12 offensive lineman?
Before that, let me just echo the Bruce Mitchell love, because I just happened to watch him when I was watching LJ Martin. He pops out. He's a really fun player to watch. I really enjoyed him. What's really cool about him is he's only been playing offensive line for like a year and a half. He was a defensive tackle originally when he came to BYU. So he's come a long way in a short amount of time, and he is really good. I love the way he clamps on with his hands. I love his mobility. Again, very different style player than Tengestal, but very good in his own right. So I really like Mitchell as well.
Love it. And again, both of you are the first 2 people. Like, so many people have shared with me their boards. Bruce Mitchell wasn't on any of the boards that were shared with me. Right. So that's why we're here. The fact that both of you can kind of validate that evaluation, this is exactly what Draft Professor is all about. I'm excited, and we're talking about offensive linemen. Like, you guys are getting me excited. JT, you want to take the conversation to another player?
Yeah, so I'm going to go to TCU and the Horned Frogs, and I'm going to talk about Ben Taylor Whitfield, left tackle, listed 6'6", 316. He's going to be a redshirt senior this year. The first thing that popped out to me is he looks extremely explosive. Like, climbing to the second level, he is on linebackers in a flash. And you don't really talk about offensive linemen explosiveness in the open field. It's more right off the snap you see it. But he looks like a plus athlete. I'm really excited to keep watching him. He plays a little too high for my liking. I think there's some things to clean up there technically, but I like how active and ready he is with his hands. He is ready to shoot the hands, and that's always something I'm looking for. So I think there's a lot of tools here to work with. I think there's definitely something to be developed here. He's definitely on my radar this season.
Love that. So that was Ben Taylor Whitfield, offensive tackle from TCU. And Parker, we're back to you.
I'm so excited to watch BTW. By the way, I like intentionally like made sure I didn't watch him accidentally as I went through this, because I'm like saving him. So I'm really excited to hear more positive. I've heard a lot of good things about him, but just excited to kind of validate that some more. I'll just keep climbing up to my top guy from the Big 12, but I'll go to the next, which is my second highest graded Big 12 offensive lineman throughout this process. That's Howard Sampson, the offensive tackle out of Texas Tech. Just a freaking monster. Like you turn on the film, and the first thing you notice is that he is just bigger than everyone on the field, which is always like fun to see in the first couple of plays, just to see like a freak just pop, and like you can always find him. It's easy to watch him. The pad height, I just want to get ahead of, because I'm a big leverage like pad height guy, and he's got very bad pad height. I actually really want to liken Howard Sampson to Pat Paul out of Houston a few years ago, another Big 12 guy. I was a big fan of Pat Paul, but I talked a lot about the weak lower half, the tall pad height when in pass pro and in the run game, but just the demeanor they play with, the violence they play with, the strength in the upper body that they have. But again, you wish to see a better anchor. They're both big frames, heavy frames, but you wish to see a better anchor out of both of them, or maybe even just get a little lower to try and anchor better. But you don't really see a lot of positive stuff against power in pass pro. But what he's able to do in the run game, what he's able to do when he gets his hands on you first as a pass protector, how he's able to handle speed rushers as a pass protector, all of that was just awesome. Like the length's awesome. He's going to have 40-inch arms at the freaking combine. Like I was just a fun guy to watch. The film's fun because you see his big body out here doing crazy things. You see him running around. You see him knocking linebackers down, throwing corners around, throwing defensive tackles around. I mean, it's just the film was fun. It was just very much like once you kind of understand who he is, you get a few games in, you kind of like just expect him to lose, and you're usually right. When you expect him to win, you're usually right. But he's consistent, and he has, I think, the mental traits and the upper body traits to translate the next level. I'm really hoping to see a big step out of his lower half. I think I kind of overgraded him for the summer just because I'm hoping for a good jump from the lower half in the season, but we'll see how it goes. But definitely like my top 3 guy to watch in the conference for me, like in the trenches, because it was fun to watch.
And that's Howard Sampson, the offensive tackle from Texas Tech, correct?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And are we, just as a tease, are we going to hear about more Texas Tech offensive linemen a little bit later in the show?
I'll talk about an interior guy. I'm happy to talk about other ones, but that's about all I got that I want to talk about.
Okay.
They were old last year. That's all. But they were old last year.
So, JT, we are back to you. Your next Big 12 offensive lineman is?
Yeah, the next one I want to talk about is going to actually be a newcomer to the Big 12 this year, and that's Karsten Cassidy, left tackle, is going to be playing for West Virginia, transferring from UConn. 6'6", 304, redshirt junior, and he moves extremely well. Just how light he is on his feet, how well he moves down the line, getting into space. Anything you would want movement-wise, he's really impressive. The only thing is he plays like a guy who's moving really well. He plays light. He needs to bulk up. He needs to get stronger with his anchor. But the way he moves, there's something there. If you're a zone heavy team, he's got that prerequisite movement ability, and he uses it well. He's very coordinated. He gets out into space. Sometimes a guy can move well and not find work at the second level. Cassidy, I thought, looked really good in space. So he's one who I think this jump up in competition, this jump up in maybe facilities, a chance to put on 5-10 pounds, I think could do him a lot of good. But there's definitely some tools there to work with, and he's fairly refined at the things he does well. So look forward to seeing more of him this year.
And that was Karsten Cassidy, offensive tackle, West Virginia.
Yep.
Correct. Okay, and again, that's a new name. So JT Olson right here, live on the Draft Professor.
Taking it out.
First time I have heard Cassidy's name mentioned in any draft circle, and we're not even in the month of June yet, everybody. This is this is turning out to be really good. We're getting a lot of new names. Drum roll, Parker, back to you.
So this is my top guy out of my teams that I watched, the full team. This is my favorite team that I watched. I had 3 guys I'd love to talk about them on this show tonight from this team. But I'm going to start with Cheba Mae out of Arizona. Young guy, got hurt a little bit during the season, interior offensive lineman, but just a freaking mauler, man. Like when you think of like these Polynesian offensive linemen that have been bumping to the inside, like he just fits that, prototype. He looks just like a Sayumalo out there, like just able to move people in the run game, able to anchor in the pass game. I didn't really see like a crazy weakness in his game outside of like at times when he climbs, he'll try and just, punch the shit out of some linebackers and just misses sometimes. But I'm not going to knock him for that at the college level because he's able to be in a position where he's up there in time and patient enough to try and throw those hands. So I'm gonna let him do that. I thought he had a great motor. I thought he finished well. He really checked a lot of boxes for me. He's got wide hips, great wide base. He's strong. He plays low. He understands leverage. Again, he moves people off the ball in the run game. I didn't really see him lose a lot in the pass game. Arizona pass film's a little hard to watch because they do some just kind of things to protect themselves because I think it's a quarterback thing, not an O-line thing personally. But I felt like every other play I was just like, wow. And, the Arizona offensive line is extremely young. So I'm kind of excited to see how it comes along this next year. But he's just a monster. Cheba Mae.
So Cheba Mae, interior offensive lineman from Arizona. Again, yes, Parker, sir. You were the first person to mention him on a podcast. I am seeing a theme. We're just a couple minutes into the show, but I am seeing a theme. JT, we are back to you. What's next?
So last one, I mentioned a newcomer to the Big 12. This one, it's going to be a guy who's exiting the Big 12. Because I wanted to watch a lot of Iowa State because that's a program I think usually has had a pretty gritty, tough mentality in the past. But this is a new era, and their entire projected starting lineup is all transfers. And none of them really have a lot of experience. So I was thinking, okay, well, who was on their line last year? Brendan Black was on their line last year, and he looked pretty good. 6'4", 320. He's transferring to Nebraska this year. So, again, exiting the Big 12, going to the Big 10. He's a multi-year starter. I think he's got 2.5 years of starting experience already. And that stands out. He's a very smart player. He picks up stunts and twists really well. He's very aware in pass pro. He's got a strong anchor. He gets push at the point of attack. This is a very well-rounded top-to-bottom player. I don't know that he's going to be great, elite level at anything, but he's good at really everything I watched him in the little bit I watched. So, I think Nebraska's getting a really nice player from Iowa State. That's going to be a really good starter for them.
That was Brendan Black, correct?
Yes.
Fantastic.
Does he play tackled or interior?
He is a guard.
I think Iowa State's done a great job of developing tackles, technically. So I'm always interested in Iowa State tackles. So I had to ask.
Okay. And Parker, we're back to you.
Man, let's talk about guys leaving the Big 12. We can talk about Big Seton, but I'll leave that for JT if he wants to bring that one up. I want to keep on Arizona. I want to talk about Deuced, Alexander Deuced, interior offensive lineman, again Arizona. I said I got 3 guys. This is my second guy I want to make sure I bring up on this show. Just a great mover, just really passive as a finisher, but he's going to get hands on guys and stick. Like it's crazy. Like once the hands latch on, he's attached and the feet just get moving. And it's, again, just another great zone fit, like wide zone fit. But I don't think he really lacked at moving guys vertically. I just think he is better adept at moving guys in wide zone looks where he's able to kind of be more athletic than the guy across from him. And I think he does it consistently, does it well. I think he gets hands on guys early. And again, when he gets hands on guys, they're stuck. A big gripe of mine when watching college film was I feel like nowadays a lot of guys get hands-on and they kind of let guys pull away from them, which, again, you don't want the holding calls, but you just got to run your feet, brother. You just got to get hands-on, move your feet a little bit. You can stick on guys, and guys have a hard time staying attached on blocks. But so when I find guys that are able to do that consistently and do that well, it always pops to me, and I feel like they're worth mentioning because again, it's a trait that a lot of guys struggle with. So if you kind of naturally have that early on in your college career or in the middle of your college career, I'm always intrigued, especially when you pair it with that athleticism, because again, that combination in a wide zone system, like someone's going to fall in love with that as like a late round guy. I don't think Deuce is going to be like a first rounder or anything by any means. I'd be love to see him take that kind of jump, but I think he's a great day 3 flyer guy. That's going to, again, for a wide zone team looking for some O-line depth, I think he's going to be a great fit. So, you know, I was joking with Drew about the Titans about how they need interior guys, and I was like, I think Deuce, man, just put him on the board. Just put him on the board and be ready. But yeah, I was a big fan of what Alexander Deuce was able to do down there on the interior. I think he's a 3-position guy. He's gonna have a lot of value in my opinion.
So love that. So again, you are the first person to mention Alexander Deuce in any of the draft communities that I am involved with. So awesome to hear a new name. JT, back to you.
Yeah, I'm going to go back to Cincinnati for this next one, and I'm going to mention Joe Cotton, their left tackle. He's 6'6", 320, so he's got the requisite size you look for. He's a redshirt senior. He's similar to Brendan Black, where I think he's a very solid player. I just don't think he's quite the talent that Black is, but he's rock solid at left tackle for Cincinnati. I think he's a decent athlete. He extends his arms well. I think he's really solid in both run and pass pro. Again, not someone I think is great at anything, but he's a good at everything. You know, not the same inflection that I had with Black, where Black is good, but Cotton's good. I like Cotton. I think he could sustain his blocks a little longer than what he does. Kind of like you were just saying, you know, sometimes he's one of those players that gets hands on a defender, and I wish he would just kind of clamp onto him a little longer. But you know, I think being able to get in position and get your hands on a player is a really good starting point. So again, I want to see him take another step forward. I think his ceiling is a little bit more limited than some of these other guys I've talked about, because I don't know that he's quite the athlete that those guys were. But you know, this could be a day 3 player who's, you know, a solid backup, and he's never going to kill you when he's in there. So I'm interested in Joe Cotton.
Okay, so that was Joe Cotton, the left tackle from Cincinnati. And Parker, back to you.
I'm so excited to hear about more of these Cincinnati guys. I hope you get to more of them. I'm a big fan of, especially their interior guy. I love the Cincinnati interior, at least I did last year on Quick Watch. So I just like every time you go, I'm like, well, I hope it's another one. I hope it's another one. I hope it's another one. I'm excited. Let's see. My final Arizona guy I'll bring up. I'm gonna call him a riser here in May, the year before the draft happens, but I'm going to call him a late round riser because I just think, you know, the frame's there, the length's there, the athleticism is there. I think it looks like he just isn't comfortable in his frame right now, or last season, but you saw a lot of fun flashes out of him. It's Ty Buchanan, the tackle from Arizona. I think he was the left tackle, if I recall. But again, great frame, big. You can see the big hands and strong hands on film. But again, he gets a little outside of his frame at times. The legs kind of get outside of his frame sometimes. But I think if he kind of get more comfortable in that frame that it looks like he found recently, then I think he's going to be a really fun player because, again, the natural athleticism is there. You can see it in the way he moves and the way he handles people, especially in space. And especially like in his set, he is extremely explosive and can just cover up guys very quickly. It's just, again, he's trying to find how to use his hands, use his legs, use his arms effectively. I think I think he progressed well throughout the year last year. I think another offseason under his belt is going to be very good for him. Another player I expect to take a really big jump as a tackle just because, again, the frame is there and the athleticism is there. I didn't see glaring strength issues. I didn't see glaring grip strength issues. I didn't see a lot of MEs on film. Like I think he was a very technically refined player that just struggled to apply the technique. And so if he can, again, settle in and really hone that skill and find a way to have accuracy in his hands, I think that pad height was good. And again, I think the athleticism is good. It's going to carry him a long way. Especially, again, I think Arizona is going to protect him a lot in protection. I don't think they're going to have him do a lot of straight, true drop back stuff, which is going to hurt him through the draft process. But that's why I think, again, he's a great riser, great value pick in the later rounds because I think he's going to, again, kind of like I talked about Jalen Travis a couple cycles ago, but just where he's going to be a good pass protector that has plus value in the run game. So I don't think a team's going to let him fall too far when it's all said and done. But I'd be surprised if he's not on my shadow team by the end of the cycle. So I'm excited to see him.
Oh, there we go. The first shadow team mentioned.
gotta have one. Gotta have one.
So that was Ty Buchanan,
Yes, sir.
tackle from Arizona.
Yes, sir.
Okay, and JT, we are back to you.
So I'm going to do another newcomer for the Big 12 this year because this is my prototype of player that I like to watch. That is Cole Rhett. He is listed as the starting left tackle for Baylor, transferring in from Toledo. And, this player he's fun to watch. He's 6'6", 340 plus, and he's an absolute mauler in the run game. He was just throwing MAC defenders around, and you love to see it. That being said, as much as I love his physicality, his power, it didn't apply in his anchor as much as you would think it did. I think there's a lot of technical things to work there. I think he's someone who plays very high, and that's something that'll have to improve. I also thought his feet were a little heavy, so I think he's got to get a little bit quicker and a little bit lower. If he can't get any quicker, this might be someone who projects inside at the next level, because he just gets pushed at the point of attack. And I'm really excited to see him against a bigger level of competition because, I'm a MAC graduate. I love the MAC. You're not getting the biggest, strongest dudes there. So I really want to see what Rhett can become. He is a redshirt junior, so he has this year and next year to continue to develop. But his power in the run game was really fun to watch.
Okay. That was Cole Rhett, offensive tackle from Baylor.
Yes.
And again, first time he has been mentioned on any draft board or draft podcast. So we are, at this point, I think only the two UC guys were the players that had been mentioned by others. So you guys, I can already tell you guys did awesome work. We're not even done yet. Parker, how many more offensive linemen are on your list that you are comfortable?
Plenty. I got plenty. Whatever you want to talk about, we could talk.
Okay. So Parker, where do we go next?
I'll bring my other Texas Tech guy while I'm thinking about him. But I'll talk about some Sheridan Wilson. To the offensive line, if I remember right, I believe he was the center. I want to say he was the center last year.
Wasn't he at LSU?
Sheridan Wilson? I thought he was a Tech. Hold on. Do I have my players backwards? That could be tragic.
No, and
maybe
there was a Sheridan, but he had a different last name. I might be confusing the player with somebody else. That's on me.
Well, easy to confirm. Yeah. Oh, well, he was a Tech. Anyway. I think it was more to get to the root of the issue here before I talk about what I liked about him. I want to just talk about how it just feels like he's kind of uncomfortable in space whenever he had to win a one-on-one or get to the second level and win, or get out on the perimeter and win. He played too hesitant for me. He just wasn't comfortable with where he feels like his athleticism is at based on what I see on the film. I think he's able to do it personally, but I haven't seen him do it. And the hesitation is what just really killed me on his film. Just the lack of confidence, because you can't operate that way. So I don't think that's a problem that he can't work out of, but it's just something that really flashed and was a glaring issue in my eyes. But at the end of the day, I think he's a very solid football player. I mean, I didn't see anything in the run game, again, outside of having to win in space, that he really struggled with. I thought he moved guys vertically well. I thought he covered guys up very well in the wide zone looks that he was able to do. I think he pulls very well. I think he's very naturally athletic. Again, I think he can do those things well. I just need to see him also think that he can do those things well. In pass pro, I think he moves great side to side. Again, that natural athleticism really shows. You can see that he's a good athlete, that he can cover guys up. He can handle stunts. He can process stuff very well. He can get to his guard. He can get to the guy next to him very quickly. He can eliminate space very quickly. He throws hands very quickly. I don't think he does anything highly aggressively. I like to see him be more violent. I think he does a good job torquing guys to the ground, which is a fine trait to have. But at the end of the day, I think it's just a confidence issue. I think he's a very good piece of clay to work with. I think you can really take him a lot of fun places, but I need to see more out of him just doing it on film. And that's
and,
he's Texas Tech. I don't know if I said that at the beginning, but
and yeah, Sheridan Wilson, and he's the center for Texas Tech, correct?
I believe so. I will verify that after the show. I promise.
Got it. So, and apparently there is another offensive lineman with the name Sheridan, but he's a freshman at Michigan State. So whoever I was thinking of for LSU has a very similar name, but it's not the same player. JT, we're back to you. Do you have another Big 12 offensive lineman that you want to mention to the good people?
Yeah, this time let's go to a basketball school and let's talk Calvin Clements, left tackle for Kansas. Big dude, 6'7", 327, redshirt junior. And this is a length and strength type of player. He extends his arms well. He can get some push. He does move laterally fairly well, but he's not super, super quick. So I think he is someone who can be beaten with speed. But I think there's also, with his tools, his length, his power, he can negate that with a little bit more refinement in how he's positioning himself. He's not someone who's great at finding work in space. He's going to be more of a power type of blocker. But I definitely think he has we talk about moldable clay. I definitely think he is someone who is going to have those kind of tools that you can develop. This is someone I do expect to be on an NFL roster at some point. Maybe not necessarily a starter. This is more you want to develop him into a solid backup, a swing tackle. But I think he has all the potential in the world to be that guy. So I think that someone, maybe not in this class, but next year's class is going to be worth drafting at some point.
So that was Calvin Clements, the tackle from Kansas. We're back to
Put that one down too. I want to watch him this weekend, I think.
He was fun. I liked him. I mean, again, not a perfect player, but
another team that I feel like you find a lot of fun offensive linemen at in Kansas. I feel like Kansas always has a couple guys that pop up here and there because they just had 49ers. Dominic Pooney just came out of Kansas a few years ago.
Oh yeah, I liked Pooney.
Me too. Let's see. Let's go to UCF. Let's move to the Knights down in Central Florida. We'll talk about Preston Cushman. Preston Cushman's a really fun player. Got a lot of snaps last year. I'm very interested to see how like the draft community receives him. I personally thought he was a guard, but I just think he's going to be a really awesome guard in the NFL. I don't think he can't play tackle. I think people aren't going to love the arm length. I don't think it's going to be a good number when it comes out. I'm interested to see the Blesto stuff whenever I can get my hands on those numbers. But the feet were awesome, and I thought he got hands on extremely quickly in protection as a tackle. So, I mean, he's getting hands on these ends and shutting down rushes really early, which you love to see. He has a hard time continuing blocks, kind of like I talked about the Utah guys last year. He loves flatter sets. So he's going to get hands on guys early. He's going to close the space early. But if he loses on that first move or mistime something or reaches, like it's over. Like he's not going to recover on a lot of his pass pro reps. He can vertical set. I didn't see an anchor issue, so I wonder if he's being told to flat set. Not familiar with UCF like I would like to be. First time I really dove into their offensive line guys. So really interested to just kind of watch him for another year because I'm going to be following up on him for sure. Because I do think he's going to be a really fun guard. Again, interested to see the arm length because he looks really short. I don't think it showed to be too big of an issue for him because, again, he's really smart and able to get hands on early, especially in protection. But, man, he was just absolutely deleting people in the run game, and it was awesome to watch. Like, just absolutely rolling through people. So if he can figure out how to play tackle for another year and keep that stock up a little bit, I think he's going to have some good value going into the actual cycle. But I just hope people don't let him fall under the radar because I think he's a very good football player. I just think he's very clearly in a position that he's not going to be as ready to play. So I don't know if that makes sense at all. But I was a big fan of Preston. But, man, yeah.
Well, that was Preston Cushman. And you said he's a tackle at UCF, but you project him into the interior.
I would much rather see him play guard, but he's able to play tackle for sure.
Got it. And
he will
again, Parker, you're more guys that haven't been mentioned in any draft circles. we are pioneering Big 12 offensive linemen right now. JT, do you have more trailblazers?
Yeah, I got a couple more. I mentioned Carson Cassidy earlier. He's going to be the new left tackle at West Virginia. The guy he's replacing is Nick Krahe. He was their left tackle last year as a redshirt freshman. Now he's bumping inside to guard. At least that's what's listed on their depth chart. So interested to see how that transition goes. I thought he had flashes last year as a freshman. He's 6'6", he's 316, so right off the bat, he's got good size. And I thought had really nice athletic tools to work with. Might not always have known what he was doing with those tools, but you can see there's an athletic skill set that can be developed. And I think he is good at using his length to his advantage. I thought he extended his arms really well. I thought he's pretty coordinated going side to side, sustaining blocks while moving. So I thought there was something to be developed there at left tackle. Obviously, I'm higher on Cassidy and what I saw from him, so I get moving Krahe inside. But I'm interested to see how that transition will go. So one who's going to be a couple years down the line, but one I'm going to be watching a little bit to keep my eye on.
Okay, and Nick Krahe from West Virginia, that was a player that Durst had identified, but like Durst just shared his board with me. I'm glad that you podcasted on him. Did I slide that name to you, or you found Krahe completely on your own without me nudging you? I don't think I shared that update in our group chat.
If you did, I honestly probably didn't read it. I just went to the RLAD depth chart and I said, all right, I'm watching these guys. Okay, these guys transferred in. I'm going to watch these guys at these schools.
Got it. So, yeah, so just shout out JT. That's really good work to find Nick Krahe at West Virginia. So, great job there. Parker, back to you.
I got to make a decision here. I have to ask. Are you going to talk about any other TCU players?
I don't think so. I think that was my only one.
Did you watch Strickland?
Let me go to the board. Is he listed as one of their starters this year?
He started for him last year, so I hope so.
Strickland.
I honestly don't know, so that could be a problem.
No, I don't think I watched him. I mean, I watched him in regards to when I watched Taylor Whitfield, I probably saw him, but I probably made a note that he wasn't there, so I didn't check if he was graduating or going to another team.
Our lads doesn't have Strickland's list.
He might be out. I didn't remember if he declared or not, so I had to. He's on my list to watch this year. I just didn't follow up on the profile. So
he's not on their current depth chart. I did like their interior guys, their left guard and their center. Was he one of those two?
He was a center. So
yeah, I did like him. I think he's in the NFL this year.
I will take him off my list.
Yeah, because both.
That's why I had to ask. I'm like, if anyone's going to know, I would assume it's one of you two, and I haven't even followed up on it. So I might as well get an answer on that. Anyway, let's talk about another player that's actually in the conversation today. I'll go back to BYU. I'll talk about Andrew Gentry. I believe. Oh man, this is bad. I knew it was coming too. Hold on. I believe he transferred. Yeah. Let's see. Yeah, he was in Michigan before he came to BYU. But yeah, Michigan.
If you didn't know,
I wanted to mention it because Michigan alignment. There's a thing. It's a thing. So I had to mention it. But no, he's just a monster. I was able to go to a couple of their spring practices this year and last year and watch him and Brucey. But he's a smooth mover, great hands, strong punch, and again, vice grips for hands. He's able to punch. He can rattle a guy on the punch, and then he will lock into the block, which is very rare to find, but so pleasing to actually find. I think again the flat set, the shorter set's really, really effective. Doesn't really get bowled over, doesn't lose to the speed very often. I worry about the speed in his vertical set. He has the length to kind of help him out a little bit, but the speed in the feet and the vertical set is just not there. But the short set is awesome, and he wins very often when he's deploying it. So I mean, he knows how to win. You would like to see it be faster if he's going to play in the NFL. So, but another guy in the run game that is just athletic enough to run the wide zone stuff, cover guys up, get to the second level, work in space, effective at working in space. Not a great vertical mover, but he's able to really displace guys in zone and wide zone schemes. So you get him moving lateral. He's able to kind of throw guys out of the club a little bit and get him moving laterally. Just can't really generate a lot of power vertically. But which again doesn't show up in the pass game. Like it doesn't look he's a weak player. I think it's more of a hands and leverage issue. So interested to see if that he keeps working on that, can improve in that area. But again, I think the anchor in pass pro is very good. I think the punch is extremely impressive in pass pro, and obviously the run game that translates to both sides of it. But he's a really fun player, knowing he's from the Big Ten and just came to BYU and is just dominating guys. Really kind of fun to watch because usually you see. I wouldn't say you don't want to talk about lesser conferences, I suppose, but I don't think the Big 10 and Big 12 are on the same level. So it's just interesting, always interesting seeing the Big 10 guys come down from, especially from a big program in the Big 10 to the Big 12. And it's always fun to see, are they going to be good? Are they going to be bad? Are they coming down because they're a bad player? Are they coming down just because they wanted to be the guy? Like, why are they? But I think Andrew Gentry is the truth, man. So big fan of him.
So, JT, you're in Michigan country.
Go Big Blue.
So,
right.
were you familiar with Gentry when he was at Michigan?
I don't know that I was. I have to go back and look. I'm more of an offensive line number guy when I'm watching live, and I'll catch a couple of names, and I think I watched a lot of Link last year before he got injured, but I couldn't tell you anything about Gentry offhand.
Got it. Okay. And JT, we're back to you. Another Big 12 offensive lineman for us?
Yeah, so I'll talk about Houston's left tackle, Allen Eversley. 6'6", 312, redshirt senior. He looks fairly athletic. I think he moves well in space. I think he positions his body well and does a nice job sealing defenders off when he's zone blocking. I think he can even get some push at the point of attack. So I do think he's a good run blocker right now. I was fairly impressed with that. As good an athlete as I thought he was, I didn't think he was great at protecting the edge. I thought he could be beat on the outside track. And I'm not sure exactly to why that is. I'm going to have to watch him a little bit more in depth to get to the why of that. Probably a footwork issue because I do think he's a good athlete. So I would like to see him clean that up and become a better pass protector. But I do like his skill set overall. Right now, I'd say he's maybe a day 3 guy, potential to be a UDFA. But I do think if he kind of cleans up some of that pass pro, he's a solid player, and I think he could be someone who's drafted on day 3.
Love it. Absolutely love it. So that was Alvin Ebosteal. How did you say that?
Ebosteal. Ebosteal.
Yeah. How big did you say he was?
6'6", 312 is what he's listed.
You have to let me know when you rewatch him. I'm interested in watching some of these Houston guys. I think they do a good job with their tackles too.
Yeah, I came in kind of having high hopes for him because I kind of view Houston as one of those kind of the top tier programs in the Big 12, kind of just below Arizona State, Texas Tech. It's kind of that next tier up. But he left me wanting a little bit more. But I do think there's something there to work with. So I think
I also always love watching guys when like people are like, "Oh, he's got this issue." So I love watching it and seeing kind of like, is that an easy issue to fix or is that like a problem? Yeah. I talk with people about that all the time, especially with O-line guys, because I feel like people you can watch a guy and think like, oh, he's raw, and that's a whole conversation in itself. But it's like, what do you mean by like what do you mean by that? Are the hands bad or the feet bad? Is he just not technically sound? Is he really technically sound, but you just don't think he's a good athlete, so you say he's raw? Like what is? And so like especially like with these guys in their sets, all the time they put into it, it's always interesting watching the hands, watching the feet, and seeing like, okay, well, can I fix this set in an off season? Like, is he going to be good to go for week 1 if he has to, or is this like a 2-3 year project type guy where I'm hoping on the second contract he can kind of figure it out? So it's always fun kind of breaking, kind of like that's why I like watching. That's why again I love watching like through all these different teams and players because you kind of get a feel for what the O-line coach is kind of like what they're trying to deploy as far as like techniques and schemes and strategies for handling certain different things, and then you can kind of break down from there. Like I said a couple times, but like, oh, this player is like good at this, but he's not being asked to do this at all. Oh, this player is bad at this and being asked to do this all the time. But
which you would think wouldn't happen that often because, just from a coaching perspective, don't ask guys to do things they're bad at.
Yeah, and I always wonder, especially in the modern game, but like how many of these offensive line coaches are just dealing with the personnel department's players versus like having an input on what they're, because like there's like I was talking with someone literally just the other day and I can't remember the team, but like they have this offensive line designed to just be like the best wide zone, like play action screens, like type of an offense, and they're like running straight 5-man, like 7-step drop back, air it out. We're running duo. We're running like, it's just like these guys are not. It's not going to work, gentlemen. It's not going to happen. But anyway, that's just my.
No, and Parker, I remember you and I when we were in Mobile, when we were having dinner. I think we were all going to be parting ways after Thursday's dinner. You pointed out that one of the things about coaching is you have to know, like, because you're a high school coach, you have to know how to coach. You said, I have to coach bad players. Now, hopefully none of your players are watching this podcast.
None of them are bad, though. If they're watching the podcast, they're obviously top-level talent. So we're not
absolutely. As soon as you watch a Draft Professor podcast, your knowledge goes up at least.
You add a star to your rating. That's all.
But you know, and from coaching other sports, it's the same thing, is that you can't always pick all your players, or you can't get the exact type of player you want at every position. You have to know how to coach the players that you have.
Well, and it's a fun conversation that I like to have with like my fellow our coaches on our staff, is like in high school you kind of just you get the guys that show up. You're not really asking for them to be there necessarily. Some of them you are, but other ones they're just kind of showing up, and you got to coach them all. But we always talk about how college is funny because if you're complaining about a player in any way, you're complaining about somebody directly. Whether it was the personnel department's player they brought in that the coach says sucks and he didn't want to bring in, or you're complaining about this player that sucks that the personnel department says is really good that got ruined by your position coach. Like, it's always like you can't say a player's bad in college without blaming someone. Whereas like in like the high school world, you can say a player's bad just because he's a bad player. I can't fix him, but it's always funny to me, like watching through these guys and being like, why are you doing that with him? Whose fault is this? Like, who caused the problem that I'm watching right now? But yeah, football's fun, man. Funny game.
So JT, do you have any more on your list?
Let's see here. Got a couple of more.
I got one more guy I want to bring up, and then whatever you got left, JT. Fine by me.
Okay, yeah, I don't have super flattering things to say about these last three. So if you got to end on a high note, you can take the stage here.
Man, I watched this guy first purely because he was at Oklahoma and is now at Oklahoma State. And I laughed so hard so long just because I was like, what are the in-state, you're going from university to state. You can't, come on. Anyway, Jacob Sexton, offensive tackle. I'm a Bill Beatonbaugh believer, who's the offensive line coach at Oklahoma. If you ever play for Bill Beatonbaugh, I believe you are a good football player until you prove me wrong. So I am very high on Jacob Sexton. He had limited film that I was able to find, but from what I saw, again, 6'6", 3, I think he's 330, but just didn't play like it, was flying around the field. I think he's a little sawed off as well, so he's probably going to turn into a guard at some point, but just a smooth mover and just violent hands, violent in space, just hates defenders. I think he kind of leans into the violence a little much sometimes and kind of falls over himself and can kind of get tripped up at times because the feet aren't really keeping up with where his hands want to be. But just the passion that he plays with was like a blast to watch. I just love watching him run around and just try and deplete defenders and just be an absolute animal out there. So I just wanted to bring up Sexton because A, he's from Oklahoma and I love Papa Beatonbaugh, and then B, because he went from Oklahoma to Oklahoma State. NC because he checks my demeanor and athleticism boxes. So I'm going to be invested in Oklahoma State this year. I did want to bring up, I kind of sorted these teams out by age based on just the list that Jim provided for my school. I just wanted to kind of highlight some of the younger programs that might be worth keeping an eye on just because they are so young. I mean, that's all I really have substantially. If anyone else has anything before I just talk about numbers for 15 seconds, but if not, I'll carry on. So the team with the most 28s was UCF, and they looked very young when I was watching them play. Just a lot of raw. And when I say raw, I think the athleticism pops and flashes and you can move, but the hands aren't there, the feet aren't there. You're missing stunts or having a hard time picking stuff. You just look like you haven't played college football for very long, and you saw it with them. Another team that I'm really excited for is Arizona. Deuced, who I brought up, is a 2028 draft eligible guy, so I'm kind of hoping he is able this year, but I'm kind of in the back of my mind hoping he doesn't declare and is able to put out another year starting under his belt because I'm not a draft ageist, and I actually prefer the guys to have more snaps in college. So, like, there's a lot of guys I hope go back purely because I think they can develop well, but I know people hate guys going back because of age. So I say I want guys to go back all the time. I sometimes get yelled at for it. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But
Well, and it seems like with age, I think age has resistance to get into the top 50.
yeah, I agree.
But then once you're on day 3, I don't know that age matters anywhere near as much. It's more of if you're using a premium asset, meaning a day 1 or day 2 top 100 pick, you're hoping to get 7 or 8 years out of the player. Whereas if you only get 4 years out of a day 3 player, that's an okay return on investment.
I also think it's interesting to bring up once like the age value cliff kind of comes where it's like no one really cares anymore. I do think experience starts climbing a little bit. Whereas like, oh, I don't really care if this guy is 23, 24, but he started for 3 years. So I kind of like that on day 3 because if I can get a day 3 guy that has started at center or has started at left tackle for his last 3 years at the college level, then I kind of am interested in that, especially if I like the film. So that's why I think it's interesting to like go through and sort them by. I sorted by age because I wanted to hit the early draft eligible guys, but I started looking and I got into some of these 28s and 29s just because I'm like, if you played it all at the 28 or 29, then I'm kind of interested in what you got. But yeah, that's why I think I kind of fell in love with Arizona and Arizona State, honestly, because I think Arizona State's done a good job of developing guys. I think Max Iana, however we decide to say his last name.
Ianichur.
But I thought he was a great example of that, where like his first couple of games of the year, you were like, oh, this is gonna like be a mid-tier guard prospect, and then you got to the end of the year, and he's like a top tackle for me on my board. So I'm very interested in any young guys for ASU, and they have, I think, of the list that you sent us, they have 3 guys that are gonna be eligible in 2029, 1 that's eligible in 2028, and then 1 that's a 2027. So. Just again, a really fun group. Makua Pule at Arizona State, limited film guy, is the 2028 guy on Arizona State. Huge fan of what I saw from him. I think he's going to be a baller for Arizona State. I think Mekhi Stewart's going to fall in that same bucket. I had to find film from him a lot of weird ways because he was also very limited, but I think he's a very good football player. And outside of the Arizonas, Colorado's young because they keep importing offensive linemen because they keep losing offensive linemen. But they're a disaster. And the go, yeah, Colorado pisses me off right now. After I watched through the receivers that they're going to receive and they're going to have to deploy in this freaking offense, I am frustrated with Colorado because they're going to waste all of these kids' talent.
Did you watch Yaya Atia at all for Colorado? Did you get any notes on him? I thought he was interesting, just how big he is and how well he moves for his size. Going back to players who are raw, I thought he was super raw as someone who started in 2022. His body positioning, the way he places his hands, the way he rolls his hips, I think it all needs to be improved. But in terms of size and movement abilities, I thought he was interesting.
He's a great guy. Like you turn on the film and you know who he is like right away. like that the frame like pops. Kind of like it's talked about with Howard, where it's like, oh, okay, well, he's gonna be easy to find the rest of the film. But then yeah, it's kind of like with the frame that he has, you'd love to see him move guys better. And like he plays like a zone guy, which you don't want him to be with that frame, but it's fine. But I just think he plays too tall, where like he's gonna catch a blitzing linebacker on a wide zone where like he's in the advantageous position, he's gonna get ran through. So like I was not. But again, he's a young cat. So like I think he can develop a lot, and I'm excited that he's getting all these snaps under his belt. But like, yeah, he's got a long ways to go, in my opinion. I think he's going to be, if he declares, he's going to be an old prospect, I think, because I think he's going to try and maximize his time at the college level before he tries to do anything crazy. But
and he should. I mean, he's only been playing for 4 years. I mean, yeah. I think he only played, I don't know how old he is now, but I think he only played 1 or 2 years in high school. So yeah, super, super raw, but there's something there. I don't know if I trust Colorado's coaching staff to develop him necessarily.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'd love to see him get out of there after a year or two. That's all I'm saying.
Yes.
And then the last team that I wanted to bring up. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just saying, if you're the NFL and you think you can develop them, why not down the line? You know, take a shot on them, UDFA, get them in your building, and see what you can do with them.
International praise. Oh man. But yeah, so the last thing I wanted to bring up was UCF. I thought their O-line was atrocious last year. I'm just gonna like as a unit, very hard to watch as a unit. I loved Cushman, but again, very raw. But I was a fan of what he was able to do. But they have 3 guys on the list that I got that are 28s, and 2 of those guys are on the interior. One of them is a tackle. They had guys listed that all played tackle, so I don't know which of these tackles is going to play guard, but I'm hoping it's that one because that'll give you your entire interior most likely coming back next season. So they played a lot last year together. They're able to play this year together. And I don't think they're going to take a big enough step this year to be kind of like at the level that we would like them to be at. So I think, again, some older guys coming out of the Big 12, but I think UCF is a team to kind of have on your radar going into next cycle. So I wanted to make sure I brought them up. And he talked about some names that are like crazy. I think there's no way they're starting some of these guys. So I'm kind of interested to see what happened in their camp. Got to make some calls. But.
Well, so it's interesting how you point that out, Parker, because one of the things that we're going to do is we're going to have a Big 12 and ACC podcast every Monday starting late August or in September. And one of the things they're going to do is they're going to take the list that we just generated, and the podcasters are going to check the list. Like, is UCF, to your point, is the offensive line taking a step? Because those are the things that we need to keep an eye on for, let's say, there's always players that will emerge later in the draft cycle.
Yeah.
And the idea is, did we have eyes on them early enough?
Well, that's why I'm so excited for Arizona State and UCF, because I think there's a good opportunity for guys that are in the draft community to like go watch those teams, because again, they have the ability to come back next year. But if these guys declare out of nowhere, like they're going to be names that you're going to want to have like affiliated with, in my opinion, just because I think they're going to be worth talking about. You're going to be the guy that knows.
So love hearing that about the UCF offensive line. JT, you said that you were done with the players that you had found, correct?
I got one more that's worth mentioning. So I got Tanner Morley. He's a left guard transferring from Colorado State going to Kansas State. He's 6'6", 330, so he's a big dude. And the thing that stands out about him to me is how low he plays at his size. So he is a power player who can stay low to the ground with all that length at his disposal. So I think that's a really interesting skill set to have. He does play a little too far over his toes at times, and he can kind of lose some of his mobility because of that. He can whiff a little bit because of that. His quickness is average. He can be beat crossing his face, but I do like that requisite baseline of big, strong, and low to the ground. So I think he's definitely worth mentioning on this podcast.
I actually watched him And I think he's going to be a really good football player over time because I think that hip flexibility in the hips is so rare. Like you don't see people that are able to get down like he is. And I just if he could like find the strength and like that hip pop, like he's going to be a good ball player, I think. So I'm really glad that you brought him up actually.
Okay. Any more Big 12 offensive linemen that the fine people should know about?
Not that I feel like they need to know of before they go into the season, but there's definitely a lot more.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
John Pastor's a good college player, but I don't know if I love him as an NFL.
Well, I think the Big 12, I mean, that's three positions we've watched now, right? And I think what I am learning about the Big 12 is they're full of really good college players. They're going to have I think there's going to be some Big 12 teams that surprise some people in a couple games this year. But yeah, I don't know as far as NFL translation what they're bringing to the table, but we're going to find out, I suppose.
well, and we're going to have a similar theme next Friday. The position changes, but this is the fourth week that we've podcasted. So at this point, starting at week 5 through 8, it means that the other podcast has covered your positions already. So meaning that the 7 p.m. podcast already did Big 12 linebackers.
So we've really got to dig deep and find some names. Is what we got to do.
So you guys are covering Big 12 linebackers as well. So you get the benefit of you'll know the 15 or 20 guys that they liked. Now, I know from what they said, these are all going to be round 6, 7 guys.
I believe the Big 12 is good at producing linebackers, man. They're sleeping on somebody. I'm gonna find them.
Yeah, and they might be lacking mass. So I think it's an undersized day 3 linebacker group that you guys are going to be going through next week. So
that's what the Big 12 specializes in, baby.
Yeah. But before we get out of here, let's pause for podcaster identification. Parker, it is so good to hear your voice and see your laugh on a podcast. Do you want to let everybody know about the other content you make, shadow teams, and anything else about you that is relevant?
Yeah, I have shadow team content everywhere. I have it on my Substack, I have it on my X Twitter situation. I'm not going to go on a rant about it because Jim knows I will every time I get the opportunity to. But if you want to know what a shadow team is, go follow me on X at ParkerBlake60 or subscribe to my Substack that is completely free. It's Scout the Shadows because I have a whole section of it that's dedicated to my shadow team. It's called Project 53. Officially rolling that series out this year, where I talk about what a shadow team is, the process of a shadow team, my specific process. I've posted my specific draft process where you can go through and read how I evaluate players, how my whole cycle goes, the process I go through. And then I translate that into building my own roster and creating a football team from scratch. And that is what the Shadow Team Project is. So go check out, again, my Substack at Scout the Shadows if you want to follow that content, as well as the player evaluations that I remember to write down actual words about and post. And then if you want my just football thoughts or my open DMs to talk offensive line plays, I'll talk about it all day and night. Just follow me at ParkerBlake60 on X and let's chat, man. Let's do it.
So, and Parker, I have a shadow team. I'm in year 2. I learned about it from you. So
who was your first pick this year?
Who was my first pick?
Plant the flag. We need to know. Who was it?
I'm going to have to go back. I think it was Carnell Tate, but I'm going to have to go back and look.
Nice.
But if you want to learn more about shadow, if you're watching this and you want to learn more about what a shadow team is, we will usually do a shadow team podcast a couple weeks before the draft. But you can go to Parker's Substack or you can search the Draft Professor YouTube channel, and you will find podcasts that Parker and I have done on shadow teams. So if you love the draft, it's a great way to keep track of your my guys year over year. But again, Parker and I could probably talk about shadow teams for a whole nother hour. That's not.
I will.
Yeah, and we would.
That is a threat.
JT.
Yeah, I'm gonna go have to check that out. I tried to start my first shadow team this year, and told I was supposed to draft while the draft is happening, and I just got so busy with actual draft content and stuff, I forgot to draft my shadow team. So I'm gonna have to learn how to do this better than what I tried to do it this year.
For sure. And the website that dropped makes it so much easier. So we got you, buddy. We got you.
All right, I'm gonna check it out for sure.
Yeah, I installed the app and then I couldn't find it. Like I couldn't find what the name of the app was, but I installed it. I entered my team into it, then I can't find it on my phone.
I like
So
it
I'm
better
like,
on my
where did
computer anyway. It's kind of the phone situation's not been ideal.
But yeah, so JT, do you want to let everybody know about all of your Buccaneers content?
Yeah, all my written work is at bucksreport.com. I also do my podcast, the Creamsicle Chronicle podcast. That is typically going to be weekly, trying to fit it into the night schedule. But once summer vacation hits in 2 weeks, my schedule is going to open up, so that'll be nice. You can find me on the Twitter at Icewater Olson, and you can find me here twice a week doing Draft Professors. Friday nights I do the Big 12, and Monday nights I do the SEC. So I'm here. I'm around.
And again, I want to thank Parker and JT for helping put the content together. We can't create this content without Parker and JT. Please give both of them a follow. If you would like to follow Draft Professor, you can follow me at NFL Draft Fanatic. No, I am Fanatic. You can also go to draftprofessor.com. So one of the things on Draft Professor, that there's two things that are very new. So one is there's articles on the site now. So every podcast gets turned into an article. So all the offensive linemen that we talk about will be converted to an article. There is also a summer scouting tab. And on the summer scouting tab, there's a Draft Professor 800 pull down. So the Draft Professor 800 is the top 800 players in college football. Okay, so first disclaimer, there's more than 800 players in the Draft Professor 800. It's not an exact science. So all of the new players that Parker and JT just discussed get added to the Draft Professor 800. It is a list of players that we are tracking for the 27, 28, and 29 drafts. So while the list may look large, it will be narrowed down to the 27 draft cycle or the 28 draft cycle in a very short amount of time. We haven't quite done that yet, but it's identify the best players, identify what year they're in the draft, and then we have advanced eyes on the 28 class when next May comes around. All those UCF offensive linemen that Parker was talking about will already be on the list. And that's the idea. So, we've had, and then it'll be different podcasters verifying the players and things of that nature. And that's just how Draft Professor rolls. So, this has been a great Friday night Big 12 offensive line show. For Coach Parker Blake, for JT Olson, for myself, and everybody at the Draft Professor. Thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you on a podcast again on Sunday. Thank you, everybody.